Tshwane FM 93.6, Cap City's #1 radio station.
What if you get the president of Mzala? You mean I'm talking about Tshwane? Who on Facebook will book an answer for you? Man, when you never mix it, there's a cancer. And wait, was one of the snacks. President of the Goma began not to wait to the robot over there again. I elevated Emma them from Kunne. Hey, yellow, I didn't know we get Takano Adamara, Emma, the one of the Ryan,
Capital Breakfast
on Tshwane FM.
Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Hashtag rise to the morning. Call us now, 012-382-4936. That's
93.6.
Tshwane FM 93.6. Your station. Your say on Tshwane FM 93.6.
Jerusalem, ikayalami, ilondoloze, uhambe nami, zungangishilana. Jerusalem, ikayalami, ilondoloze, uhambe nami, zungangishilana. Yahweh, Ayukolana, Uzoami, Aukolana, Ilondolose, Zuhamina, Yahweh, Ayukolana, Uzoami, Aukolana, Ilondolose, Zuhamina. Ayukolana, Uzoami, Aukolana, Ilondolose, Zuhamina, Yahweh, Ayukolana, Uzoami, Aukolana, Ilondolose,
I've been calling you on the 071 and I realized you're engaged. Yeah, ring and then easy to engage. I think it's easy.
Jerusalem,
Yeah, I can hear you.
Jerusalem, ikayalami, ilondoloze, uhambe nami, zungangishilana. Yahweh, Ayukolana, Uzoami, Aukolana, ilondoloze, zuhambe nami.
Minutes after the hour, 6 o'clock at Tshwane FM, 93 minutes Now, Tshwane FM 93.6 is the station where you are at this point in time. And of course, 35 minutes have gone since the hour 6 o'clock. Thank you so much for your listening pleasure. Big shout out to my colleagues that have held it down until this very same moment where I'm with you until the hours 8 p.m. My name is Mokete Radebe. I am your news pioneer. Interesting discussions that are awaiting us today. It is a Monday, as the 8th of February. We are just cruising into this, new month. I'm told it's a month of love, but again, Valentine's. Once you get to this stage where we are, Valentine, especially with just so many things that are happening in our space. And the flip side of this, we'll be speaking to Mufugeng to assess the state of the weather and whether we should know if Gauteng and Pretoria, to be specific, will also be in trouble in terms of floods. I know that St. Children, normally it's our biggest challenge, but we're going to be assessing that. We saw some actually footage in terms of what happened in Mpumalanga, where a search has been, underway there after 8 people had drowned in that area. 5 are still missing. I have not received any news in terms of whether there has been any light in terms of finding them. I'm just, pleading to you and to those that are listening to us at this point in time. Remember to keep safe and try by all means to be cautious. Us guys are the superhero, man. What we see on TV is not necessarily true. Otherwise, we're coming through to you live on Facebook. It is Tshwane Space FM Space 93.6, and on Twitter it's at Tshwane FM. While on YouTube, do check Mokete Radebe. Checking some of your comments as well on social media. I see Sean van der Merwe is already online with us. He says, "Yeah, I need the jive music to wind down. I had a very busy day." Sean, man, I'm sorry, my brother, but I'm glad that we're actually hyping up your day with great music, and I hope that you're gonna love the content even more. Today we're discussing a number of things, and just starting up, we'll be speaking to Mr. Mathopane Masha, who's the Director of Economic Planning at the Gauteng Department of Economic Development, and we'll be speaking about economic opportunities for SMMEs in our region. And of course, on the flip side of that, we're speaking to various vaccine specialists with regards to rather vaccines experts, so to say, with regards to SA's newly purchased vaccination. A lot of things have actually came through, just disappointing news, I must say. I think top of the list is really the fact that it's gonna expire in April, affecting the total rollout plan by the president, that is Cyril Ramaphosa. But of course, just looking at how unemployment, particularly in the second quarter of last year, where the SA economy shared rather around 2.2 million jobs. Also just making unemployment a realization, so entrepreneurship and particularly small businesses or SMMEs has been the one fundamental point where young people have actually found a way to survive, a way to uplift themselves. But it seems as if entrepreneurship or rather starting your own business is the way to lift our economy. Just on the 2nd of this very same month, the President Cyril Ramaphosa undertook an oversight visit to the Tshwane Automotive Special Economic Zone construction site, where he officiated at the Ford Motor Company of Southern Africa's investment ceremony. The President's visit was to track progress at the Tshwane Automotive Special Economic Zone, which occurred 14 months since leading the short turning of the 3.4 billion joint investment by government and Ford Motor Company, which was established, the first automotive incubation center adjacent to the special economic zone. I'm not really clued up about that, and Mr. Masha on the line, he's going to be talking to us about that, and I hope that we have all our young people and largely our entrepreneurs listening at this point in time. I think this is a very great space. I myself, when I saw this, I thought, hey, man, it's a more radio. It's the opportunity, man. We could be empowering ourselves, our communities, and our families there. And Dade Masha, good evening, and thank you so much for speaking to us tonight.
Good evening, Kid and your listeners, and thank you for the opportunity just to share what is happening in around Tshwane.
Indeed. Compliments to the new year. I know that we're already in Valentine's month, but compliments to the new year.
Thank you, and the listeners. It's a new year.
It is.
Indeed, yeah.
It is. I think you've got great news for a new year. With so much that is happening, economic opportunities are what the young people are looking, forward to hear. I mean, we are an institution, a radio station in a university, but of course, our community as well, surrounding communities are full of young people. But when I hear about the projects like the one that you guys are pushing, I get excited, I get hope, and I really get alleviated. Just take us through what does this automotive opportunity entail for young people?
So thanks a lot. I think, as you correctly captured, is that there is a big investment at the Tshwane Special Economic Zone, and it's located around Silverton and Mokete, just around the corner there, I think, from the Mamelodi as well. So basically, what we're doing is that we're expanding forward into the other area, into a special economic zone, where, as you've heard the president speaking, that the Ford wants to increase production of their cars there from a current number to 200,000 vehicles per year. Now, we currently at the other side of the phase, the bulk aspect phase, where we are basically looking for, or at least, giving opportunities to local construction companies that obviously qualify so that they are able to participate in a project. But also not only that, but we are also obviously giving job opportunities to young people in and around Mamelodi. And I think it's important just to emphasize that so far I think we've had a lot of young people coming to the Mokete Youth Center. That's where we are basically located. So register for these opportunities, and a lot of them are being employed as opportunities that become available as well. So it is a good opportunity. And yeah, we are targeting mainly Mamelodi. So we've got what we call 3 target areas. The first target area is exclusively for Mamelodi in those wards that are around the project. So you'll be in Mokete and Mamelodi, some wards in Mamelodi as well. And that information is available, of course, on our website as well. But also, in terms of target area 2, we are also targeting all SMEs that are in and around Pretoria. So our idea is that if, for example, we are looking for an SME to do certain things and we can't find it in Mamelodi, we'll then open it to target area 2. It means it's the rest of Tshwane. And then if we can't find it there, then we'll open it to the rest of Gauteng. So it's just an attempt to try and localize opportunities so that the project can really benefit directly the community where it is located, but also the surrounding communities as well, the townships in and around Pretoria. Yeah.
43 minutes after 6 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6 is exactly where we are. And on the line, we're speaking to Mr. Mathopane Masha. Mathopane, let me just, when I do these interviews, I prefer to be realistic and ask questions that young people would want to know. And you and I know that young people in majority are discouraged to search for this opportunity, primarily because the perception, I don't have proof, the perception is that you'll never get this opportunity unless you know someone, or you'll never be employed in those spaces unless you sleep with Mathopane or you sleep with anyone in that environment, or you're closely related to that person. My question is, how are you guys safeguarding those, little elements that could be, hindering young people or discouraging young people to really, take charge and apply in these opportunities? How transparent are you guys, and how have you sort of put it out there that, look, we're all about young people that are gifted, that have got a vision, and this is not in any way a bogus sort of, a startup opportunity for only our families or those that are known to us?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think it's a very important question. But just to say that in terms of the targets of the Tshwane Special Economic Zone, so we've got a very transparent process. But also, just to say that in terms of identifying and onboarding SMEs, we've developed a portal. So the whole process is digitally managed. So, for example, if you are a grade 1 or grade 2 or grade 3, you want to bid for these opportunities, you are from Mamelodi. There are very few the requirements. One is that we just need to prove of address that you're from Mamelodi and so forth. And then pretty much you are on our database, and whenever there are opportunities we invite you for briefing, or you can also go into the website and access those opportunities. But also the other is such that we also try to spread the whole thing to all the awards that we are targeting in Mamelodi. So indeed, but also for young people who are looking for these opportunities, I think it's a working center. Young people can come anytime to the center and fill in the forms and apply. And obviously, as and when opportunities arise, we will then employ them. And today we have employed a lot of them. In fact, obviously, some will be on a short-term basis, some for example, that we are hiring them for. But the whole process is quite transparent, and we make sure that anybody who qualifies can actually bid and stand an equal chance of actually being employed, or at least getting an opportunity as a business to render their service there.
Interesting. 46 after 6 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6. Give us a call on 0123244936. Otherwise, hit us up on Facebook. It is Tshwane Space FM Space 93.6. On YouTube, it's Mokete Radebe. On Twitter, it's at Tshwane FM, at Mokete80. And on Instagram, it's Tshwane FM _official and Mokete _Radebe. On the line, Mathopane Masha is speaking to us from the Gauteng economic development, speaking to us at this point in time about the economic opportunities, particularly for young people in Mamelodi. I know that this largely speaks to SMMEs, but you keep on mentioning employment opportunities. Let's look at employment opportunities. What kind of people are we speaking about? Is it people that have got a formal higher education qualification? Is it the youth that are just fresh from matric? What kind of young people, or even ordinary South Africans that are from Mamelodi, that you are looking for in terms of those opportunities?
It's actually a combination of all of those things that you're mentioning. For example, there are activities that you will require general labor. So you don't necessarily need anybody with extensive background in anything, but somebody who, for example, will just have matric and be willing to learn as well. But also there are instances where, for example, a company may say, because of the type of an activity or the project phase, I may need a chemical engineer or so. So it just depends on what is happening at that particular point in time. But basically, everybody is welcome, because the larger chunk of the work that we are going to do will be around general building. So we may not necessarily need skills that normally will discourage young people. No, as long as you are willing, you've got your matric, you can come through to the center and register, and then once opportunities become available, we will then consider you. So on the form, as you fill it, the form, obviously it will just the areas that they're interested in, just to help us zoom when we look for these guys. For example, they say that are you a young person looking any of these skills, interested in 1, 2, 3, just to help ourselves zooming to certain skills or interest areas. But otherwise, it's open, it's quite easy, and young people are registering every day at the center. We also have obviously other facilities that are available at the center as well. That once you come through, we should be able to assist you much more than just registering.
49 minutes have gone since 6 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6. Just before I let you go, I think you've really, informed us. I wouldn't say there's anything that you've left out, but just for interest's sake, if there's someone that is listening to the show now and has further questions, and maybe I couldn't ask those questions, how do they get in touch with your office? And just for more information on clarity and the likes, where can they access you guys? Are you guys available on social media, the website? Where is the information available?
Yeah, so the couple of things they can access us. One is that for the opportunity or the tenders that they become available or this contract, we advertise on our main website, which is www.co.za. So then we put a lot of information, but also including the advert inviting for the participants to come and meet. But also, if you have direct questions, for example, you want to ask us, you can send us an email. My direct email address for the project is grade123. So it's one word, grade as in GRADE123 at tasez.co.za, and we'll be able to answer all the questions in terms of, most people will be inquiring about, do I qualify, what do I need to qualify, so we should be able to assist them. And if they need to maybe send me a message, I can share my WhatsApp line. It usually works on WhatsApp only, so it's easy also to check your questions there. The number would be 060 995 2406, and I should be able to answer. WhatsApp is quite fast because I can always answer it anytime.
Interesting.
People can inquire, or they can just come to the center, Mathopane Skill Center. It's located at 200 Love Street, Matthias. That's where we dedicate to all these things in terms of, people registering for opportunities, but SMEs also register for opportunities as well. And those I think are the processes that we put in place just to make it accessible to the community. Yeah.
Before you jump off, there's actually a number of questions here. Hey, yeah, no, Sean, it's really interested. Now, the first one, and this is just a number of questions. Sean is saying there are 1,000,001 opportunities in Tshwane, especially, but no help. What he wants us to challenge you on is the aspects of renting commercial properties for SMMEs. So he wants to know on what exactly are you guys doing in that regard. Maybe let me just add 2 more questions so that when you answer, you can answer them maybe just all in one. And it says, what are they doing to build an SMME business hub to put us on the map? What about Soch, Hammanskull, and other illegal settlement? Maybe you can just ask that one first.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think, as you know, that directly for there are what you call industrial hubs in a lot of townships across the province, especially in Tshwane. Some of them may not necessarily be in good working condition. You go to Atteridgeville, there's one there in for example, in Hammanskull. We've got that facility there that needs a lot of investment. So I know that at the moment, for example, the DTI has invested a lot of money in refurbishing pavilions. So a lot of these facilities that are there, we do acknowledge that they're not necessarily functioning optimally. And there's a process at the moment to try to obviously, refurbish that those that are in manufacturing, and they seek to manufacture other products that we can use in the community. But also, there are also a lot of new innovative ways of actually helping guys that are in manufacturing. So we are currently in partnerships with partners who are doing what you call installation, repair, and maintenance hubs, where we are also hiring. And so we are going to be rolling them out. I think we'll announce that soon as well. We're going to be training young people, but also training young people. And once they're done, they can then choose where they want to go into business. But also those that want to be employed elsewhere, we then link them to those opportunities as well. So I think it's a huge project. As you know, economic infrastructure is our focus as a province, and we may need a whole show just to talk about how we are positioning economic infrastructure to try and stimulate job opportunities, but also link young people to these opportunities as well.
Interesting. 2 things, and there's just 2 more questions. Now, Sean says, my personal experience, and this is a point, my personal experience with this organization is that their standards are too high. I met all their criteria, but I was overlooked a few years ago and fell, but I am still around and motivated. He says, in my 11 years, my business is around without their help. Too much corruption in this office, and they want kickbacks to help you. I think you remember earlier on, I asked you about this one to say, what could be discouraging young people? And obviously, I think in my view, I would say it's probably the fact that if you don't have connections, you might not get opportunities. But here's another one: standards being too high and maybe not too realistic for a small medium businesses. And I know that quality should be something that is it's really at the heart of all this development. But my question is: are we realistic to the actual existence of those organizations or those companies in such areas? Because I'm looking at the profile of young people that are entrepreneurs at this point in time. The majority do not necessarily have the necessary support, or rather necessary corporate support to reach some of these corporate standards. But let's just help out Sean on these two ones. Kickbacks is what discouraged him, but also the fact that he's overlooked because the standards were too high. How do we help him there?
So that is so I think it's a fact that we have acknowledged as well. But what we have done, I think, in Tshwane, as an example, at the Tshwane Special Council, is that the program basically is done under what we call mental supervision. Where, for example, SMMEs only need to meet very basic minimum requirements. So, for example, if you are in construction, all that you need is a CIB grading for you to be recognized in that sector. So, the moment you have a CIB grading certificate for basically in this one, you can participate. We expect that a lot of CIB grade plans, for example, will not have enough experience to do complex things. That's why we then opted to have what we call a developmental supervision, where using technology to make sure that the process is fair. So, for example, if you are appointed as a CIDP grade 1 company there, the expectation is that upon completion, you'll get the certificate of completion and then equal a good opportunity of you to upgrade to, for example, grade 2. So those are some of the things that we have put in. Of course, I'm only just talking about one project or one area of work. There are many other areas, for example, that we are focusing on, even in the pharmaceutical space as a province. We are incubating small businesses that may not necessarily have experience, and we are linking them to market access opportunities and so forth. There are many other things. I think it could be that our NAP is also access to information so that young people can take much more informed decisions. But for now, I think we are at the skill center beyond just construction. If our listeners have other questions, for example, they can obviously reach us at the center, or just use the number that I gave them, the WhatsApp number, so that we can see how we can assist them. But indeed, we focus a lot on developing so that we enable access. We de-risk, we call it de-risking, because at the moment, so if you're from the township, you are risk profession also in the process, for example. The handle is quite differently by our mainstream institutions. But so part of de-risking is just to make sure that we enable you to be able to access a lot of these so that,
I think
this is to create jobs for us in the townships.
Awesomeness. Thank you so much, man, Mr. Masha. I think you've quite went lengthy there, and I agree with you. I think perhaps just 30 minutes is not sufficient to touch on this very sensitive topic of economic development, particularly during this pandemic, where a lot of jobs have been shredded. I mean, just Greyhound now has shut its doors out. That means that we need to come up with a revitalization plan. I mean, we know that our country borrowed money during, COVID-19. We need to come up with a plan to, revitalize our economy and to pick it up. And PATCO as well is going to be retrenching just over 200 staff members. The SABC, is retrenching over 300 employees. And at the rate of things, more retrenchments are looming, and we need to come up with ways that are innovative as the current generation. So I agree with you. Perhaps the time is not sufficient, but the little that we've started doing, I think it's what is necessary. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you'll be available to talk to us, because clearly it's not enough and people still want you.
No, thank you a lot for the opportunity. We're always available to be able to share this important information with the community. Thanks a lot for your time.
Awesomeness. Have a lovely evening, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Tshwane, it's exactly 7 o'clock on top of the hour. That was Mr. Masha speaking to us at this point in time. He's coming to us all the way from the Economic Development, Gauteng Economic Development Office there, as he's speaking to us, and he's the director there for economic planning, the Gauteng Development Department of Economic Development there. That is Mr. Mathopane Masha. It's 7 on top of the hour. We'll now be speaking to our doctors. And first on the line is going to be Dr. Joe Barnes. Dr. Joe Barnes, that's going to talk to us about the vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine. A lot of things are happening in that space.
Mara ashibe kisamyenge turle labra ene makusa ke manta motona uno kisa chata mbi labra kosa mene agi trofele te gaye mara baba ona lo botar maskat.
Hi doc, how are you? Yes, hi doc. I'm good, man. I'm good. It's Mokete Tshwane FM. Tshwane FM, the radio interview. Okay, please stay on the line.
Tshwane FM, the mother of all radio stations. Call us now, 010-382-4936. That's
93.6.
What you listening to?
Huh?
What you listening to?
Huh?
What are you listening to?
Tshwane FM, you don't go.
Tshwane FM, 93.6. 93.6.
It's a minute after 7 o'clock. Interesting discussion with Mr. Mathopane Masha just earlier on about economic opportunities in the city of Tshwane for young people, and I hope you guys are going to jump into it. Sean van der Merwe, I'm sorry on that one. I saw these comments after we were done with him, but thank you so much for your listening pleasure. Yeah, man, I'm looking at all those comments, man. You're doing great work, Sean. I'm really proud of you. I know these places that you're speaking about, but thank you so much for joining us. I hope that one day we can actually have an interview with you. So we're now on our second interview, and you'd remember that it was largely disappointing, news when we actually learned that the AstraZeneca vaccine that arrived in SA last week is not particularly effective against mild to moderate disease caused by the dominant COVID-19 variant circulating across the country. But of course, just also speaking, on the media, I think it was Sunday evening when Prof. Shabi Madi from the Wits University said that studies were done in the wake of the new variant known as the 501 Y.V2 or B.1.35 showed it was not statistically significantly effective against mild or moderate infection. And also just learning that in April, this vaccine will have expired. Yes, you're right. I also got confused with all these big terms, and that is why on the line we're now joined by Dr. Joe Barnes to speak to us about what exactly did Prof. Shabi Madi mean, and the Health Minister, Dr. Zweli Mkhize. What exactly did they mean, and how does this affect us as ordinary citizens during this COVID-19? Because the lockdown has actually held us with our throats. Doc, good evening. Thank you so much for your time and for speaking to us tonight.
Good evening and good evening to the listeners.
Compliments to the new year. Hello, Doc.
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Compliments.
Sorry?
I'm saying compliments to the new year.
Thank you very much, and for you too.
Yeah, I know we're already on Valentine's month, but yeah, it's still a new year. Doc, just a very quick one. Look, when the news on Sunday came through that this vaccine is not necessarily effective against severe diseases that are caused by COVID-19. But also, I think what shocked a lot of people is the fact that it will expire in April. Just briefly to the listener at home, take us through what exactly does this mean?
Let me first start by telling you that viruses just change their outside coat all the time. We call it mutating, and they're changing all the time, so that is not surprising. And this new South African variant of the virus that we've got, it changed part of the virus that all the vaccines on the market at the moment, they target that piece. So it has been very difficult for anybody who's making a vaccine to make a vaccine against that particularly changed virus. what I wanted to say about, first of all, let's just talk about the virus, and then we can talk about the expiry date. It is not a surprise to us. It hasn't come out of the blue that these new vaccines that we've got have been unable to control the virus in young people. Just want to mention that this research has been done on young people. The average age was 31, and we know that they get the virus more likely. What we are hoping, and it looks as if we are not wrong, is that it will reduce severe disease. And you know, that is already a hopeful gain for you as a person and for the health services. Even if you do get, you don't have to go to hospital, and that you can recover much more easily. So there is hope. Let me put it that way first. The study was small and the people were young, so we are hoping that it will keep people out of hospital. But looking at the expiry date of the batch that we've got, that I agree with you, that is a concern, and we are hoping that they have not wasted a whole lot of money by being unable to get their act together and roll that out to people. I would hope that they would vaccinate the people with bad comorbidities, bad risk factors, such as the ones who work in the health services. They're exposed all the time, that they would do that first. Because, you know, even if it just reduces the symptoms for you, that is already a gain.
Sure. 7 minutes after 7 o'clock, and Dr. Joe Barnes is speaking to us on the line. Doc, if I'm a listener now and a citizen of this country, and you know, this is where we are at this point in time, and I saw a lot of other opposition parties actually lashing out on the president and the minister for not doing due diligence in terms of checking on whether you know, when will it expire and the likes. Do you think that we as South Africans need to be worried by the fact that you know, it has been discovered that the vaccine might not necessarily be as effective and it will expire? And maybe just speaking about the expiry, what exactly does it mean when they say it will expire?
These vaccines are of live protein material, and it has a shelf life. It has to be kept at a certain temperature, which is very cold, and if that vaccine warms up, it is useless. We cannot use it anymore. After a while, we cannot use it anymore. So we have causes us to reorganize our entire system for bringing these vaccines to people. I'm really concerned that the South African government has left organizing this rollout plan too late, and I'm very much concerned that we as a country, together with a lot of other middle-income countries and lower-income countries, are standing at the back of the queue. So they send us the vaccines that are close to its expiry date. Our government needs to be very much more aware of what they spend their money on. That is my personal opinion. And I'm concerned that South Africa bought these vaccines, but they don't have the rollout plan in place with all the details needed. So we need to get, as the saying goes, we need to get our ducks in a row, and we need to make sure when we start rolling this out, and there are other vaccines on order that are also promising to be even better than this one. But my point to everybody who's listening is, you know, even if it gives you a smaller amount of protection, some protection is better than nothing at all. So if I had the chance, I would take it immediately, because even if it's only for me as an older person, even if it is only 40 or 50% a reduced chance of a problem, that's better than nothing.
But is it legal? Is it scientifically safe to take it if it is not going to do the work that we had highly anticipated it to do? What are the ripple effects in that regard?
Are you asking about scientific, whether it's safe?
Yeah, whether it's safe scientifically.
Right. All these vaccines, I must say, I've never in my long career in community health seen such a huge amount of effort and massive amounts of money thrown at the problem. It has been exhaustively tested. All vaccines have a small, very small risk attached that some people will have allergic reactions. And almost literally all of those allergic reactions can also be treated. That goes right across the board for all vaccines. So I'm not concerned about the safety. We are simply concerned about, does it work? And does it work has got more than one definition. Does it work means that it reduces your symptoms, but it also means, does it work so you can't pass the virus on? The first one, we are gaining some ground and we are doing well in most cases there. But whether you are less infective based on testing, that is, that this virus has been with us only a year, and we've done so much work. The other hopeful sign is that the death rate coming from infection is coming down so much. Far fewer people are dying from it now than it did a year ago. So we're getting better at treating people for it, but it puts a massive strain on the health services, on the hospitals and the hospital staff. So whenever there is a vaccine available that you are allocated, that you can take, I'm urging people to take it.
Interesting. 12 minutes after 7 o'clock. Dr. Joe Ban is speaking to us at this point in time. Doc, just before I let you go, any sort of word of advice that you'd want to give to the listener at home during this COVID-19 period?
Wearing a mask and washing your hands and making sure that to the best of your ability, you stay at least a meter or so away from other people as far as you can. None of those things are irritating, I understand, but it costs a lot of money. If all of us can do that, it is surprising how much that works. The ordinary flu, every year before this virus came, number of people got hospitalized with flu and some people died. And from that, now that we are washing our hands and wearing masks, those dreadful cases of flu that we saw in the hospital are down by 95%. That is entirely due to just better hygiene methods that we are following. So if it does that for flu, this new virus is very clever and it can go through all sorts of ways to get to you. But if these ordinary methods does that for ordinary flu, just please do those kinds of things. And every evening when you get home, just wash your mask so that it's clean tomorrow morning. That is the trick. That will help. So if you could just do the ordinary common sense things that don't cost a lot of money, you will help the health services and you will help yourself.
Amazing. Just a quick one, Doc, before I let you go. Now, Sean van der Merwe wants to know if based on what you're saying, if ivermectin it's a realistic solution to COVID-19, why is sulfur-resistant giving us that medication? Because apparently it neutralizes the vaccine issue and it's cheaper by far. Ivermectin. Yeah.
The line is not so good. I'm not quite sure what you asked, but if you're asking about treatment, so on. We are a little bit behind as we're working so hard on the vaccines, but there are a lot of treatments in the pipeline that we are trying out, and we're looking at all sorts of existing medication. It's already been through safety trials and so on, and looking to see there's a new antiviral thing that they're looking at that's also being registered already to see if we can't reduce the symptoms, because it will be a combination of being able to vaccinate people and treat those where the virus slipped through our defenses and made people ill so they don't get so ill. So a combination of vaccination and treatment will bring this down to a point where we can resume our normal lives. But I have to tell our listeners that it's going to take a number of years before we can go back to the life that we knew before. There's no doubt that we will have to wear a mask and wash our hands and stay safe for a number of years until we can get this thing under control.
Thank you so much, Doc. May you have a lovely evening.
It's a pleasure, and please look after yourself.
I'm doing exactly that, Doc. I'm doing exactly that.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye. 16 minutes after 7 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6. That is Dr. Joe Barn. Barn is speaking to us as well, part of the National Command Council, part of the team that is working with, a lot of other experts in terms of vaccines. We'll be speaking now to Dr. Linda Gale, who also works with, one lovely professor from the University from the Wits University as well, regarding just COVID-19 vaccines, so to say. Another interesting discussion that she works with Professor Glenda Gray. Fortunately, we couldn't speak to Professor Glenda Gray today, but we want to be speaking to her later in the week as well, because just to sort of understand what could have went wrong. Why did we get a vaccine that is going to expire in April? It doesn't make sense to me. And I agree with you, Sean. It's totally, it's unacceptable. Prof. Karim and Dr. Mkiza, I agree with you that they should have anticipated this. And the real truth is still the lack of oversight, which is really costing us, the taxpayers, a lot of millions. I mean, this is money wasted. But let's take a quick break. When we come back, we speak to Dr. Linda Gale as well from the Wits University to speak to us at this point in time.
Angiti, all of you here, you can talk right, Angiti. That's the problem. I mean, I don't talk right, I'm well spoken. Angiti, in a man come school trip or school outing, they need this arrangement, school trip or school outing. With us, it was an excursion. And when you guys came back from your school trip or outing, all you saw was, no wonder good day beside the class about 100 school children died in a bus accident. When we came back from our excursion, what we saw was, thank you, Mr. Bus Driver, Bus Driver, Bus Driver. Thank you, Mr. Bus Driver, for the great drive. That was us. And if you guys don't understand, I'll break it down even further.
Okay,
Dr.
Linda Gale.
Two little birds. That was us. But two little birds. Everyone can sing, but the pronunciation will tell you what kind of a school you went to. How's it two? Little. It's not little, it's little.
Tshwane FM 93.6.
Wrap your ears around 93.6.
is 19 after 7 o'clock, and remember to stand a chance to win 40,000 when you vote for Tshwane FM at the Radio Awards this year. You simply visit www.radioawards.co.za, click on the My Station competition button, and vote for Tshwane FM and stand an opportunity to win the 40,000. You can decide once you've won the 40,000 on whether you want to take me on a date or whatever that is in your mind. We're still talking about COVID-19, and just earlier on, there was Dr. Joe Barnes speaking to us, and we're now joined by Dr. Linda Gale to speak to us really about the vaccine. I think the issue around the vaccine is indeed a very, very deep matter and very thorny, so to say. And I agree with Sean van der Merwe on our comments as well, who says, where to now? What does this mean to us as ordinary citizens? Dr. Linda, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Real pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Interesting. Doc, obviously, a lot of people are not so happy with the fact that the vaccine might not necessarily be effective, but secondly, that it will expire soon. I mean, I think how people sort of took it, it's as if you bought bread at the shop and you get to be told that you thought maybe it's going to take you a day or two, and you get to be told that it will expire in the very same evening if you don't eat it. And I think that's where a lot of people think we are in terms of the vaccine. But because you have better insight as well regarding this matter, take us through what exactly is the position of South Africa at this point in time with regards to this vaccine?
So our government has managed to secure 1 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccine. So this is the chimp vector vaccine that was made by Oxford and AstraZeneca, and it was Serum Institute in India. So we understand the first 1 million doses came. You're right, there's some issue about the expiry date. I understand that was unexpected, and I believe that the Department of Health is talking to the Serum Institute to understand why there's such a short expiry date on the vaccines, because really having only a month to deal with it and get it out would have been difficult under any circumstance. So they're dealing with that. The bigger issue, the far bigger issue, is that we have a variant that is now virus variant, which means a slightly changed virus, which is what these viruses do. They mutate to stay functional, to stay alive. It has mutated in such a way that the vaccines that were developed against, if people can remember our wave 1, which was the first kind of virus that came, they were developed to fit that. It seems that now this new variant is able to evade that immunity that is caused by the vaccines. And it's across the board. But what we have with some of the vaccine trials that have been conducted, big enough trials to know that even against that variant, we see some efficacy and we see protection in particular against disease and death from COVID, which are two very important endpoints, obviously. The problem with AstraZeneca at this moment is the trial that was conducted, which Dr. Mahdi described to us on Sunday night, was too small to look at disease and death. So we don't know. It's not to say it won't work, but we don't know if it will work. We do know that the vaccine has taken a hit in terms of its effectiveness overall, but we don't actually know how well it protects against disease and death. Now, by contrast, the other vaccine that we've been trialing in this country, known as the Johnson & Johnson or Janssen vaccine, it's an Ad26 vaccine, we have had a big enough trial to be able to say that not only did the vaccine work against the virus, although somewhat less in South Africa than America, across the world, it seems to protect against disease and death to about 80-odd%. So that is good news. So the plan we have at the moment is quickly bring in some J&J doses, and we hope we'll do that by the end of this week. And we kind of flipped the switch, and instead of using AstraZeneca for our healthcare workers, we moved to the J&J. Because we've got data in J&J, we don't have the data for AstraZeneca. So that is where we sit at the moment.
25 after 7 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6, and on the line is Dr. Linda Gray speaking to us at this point in time. Doc, look, I hear the explanation to all this, but the listener at home, what people really want to know, because COVID-19 has really wreaked havoc across our communities, and I must say a lot of our people are actually disappointed at government and obviously not understanding what could have led to where we find ourselves. But if you were to just give us a little bit of hope, what is our hope at this point in time?
Right.
What can people hope for at this point in time?
Right. No, I get it. I mean, we're all sick and tired of this thing already, right? So we need some good news.
Yeah.
So I think the good news is that the virus responds to the vaccines we've made. We know that we can do it. We just have to make the vaccine fit the virus that's circulating. Now, listeners might not know that we have to do that for flu every single season. Every season we go, okay, what is the flu that's circulating at the moment? And then we switch our vaccine. That's why listeners know when the pharmacies call and say, now the flu vaccines are out, it's because the new doses of the new vaccines have come in. That's probably where we're going to end with COVID, is the manufacturers are going to have to switch the vaccine quite regularly. And yes, it probably means we're probably not going to be able to just have one shot and get on with our lives. We probably are going to have booster shots along the way. That is probably the reality we're dealing with here. But the good news is we know from large clinical trials that this virus can be controlled with the vaccine. So that is the big take-home message. We've had a little bit of a technical setback here. In some ways, maybe we should have predicted it. It's an RNA virus. We knew it was going to mutate. One hopes, and the world was really anxious. And honestly, it's amazing that we've got vaccines 11 months after we discovered the virus. But it is going to be a little more complicated than just a single shot and go home. It is probably going to mean we will get our first shots, and it may be that in some months or even years, we have to get another shot depending on what the virus does. It's in control of its own destiny in that regard. If we reduce its transmission, so we get many people vaccinated, we do everything we can to stop it moving from person to person, we will reduce the speed at which it changes, because it only changes when it's replicating, and it only replicates when it's transmitting. So that's the other message, is if we can get the vaccine out to as many people as possible, that will also help to reduce, this catch-up game.
I'm looking at time, and I need to let you go in 2 minutes because I know you have another engagement. Just a quick one. Speaking about the releasing of the vaccine to a lot of people in as much time as possible, seeing that we've only have like literally now and March to deal with it, are we going to be able to use all the doses that we've bought, and are we still going to follow the rollout plan? I mean, from just where you are looking at it, are we going to still follow the rollout plan, or we'll have to come up with a different strategy altogether?
So, no, I think the government's got a good plan in place. It really looks like they were gearing up to vaccinate from next week. So, I think we should take heart. We're certainly not going to throw the plan out. I think they're going to put the AstraZeneca vaccine on the shelf for a bit and sort out what we're going to do with those vaccines. But the J&J, we are going to go full steam ahead. We want to get as many healthcare workers who were in the phase 1, the essential healthcare worker cohort, get them vaccinated really within 2 to 3 months. So that's the plan. And then, government has got their next shipment of vaccines coming in. So by then we'll have a well-oiled machine, hopefully, that will really be able to move through the next phase and the next phase as quickly as possible. So, I think people should not lose hope. It's amazing how fast the technology is moving. And I think we just have to, it's a setback, but that is, that's science and biology. And bugs don't always listen to what we need them to do. This is how it is. So, I think we'll still overcome here. We've got to hang in there.
Sure. As I let you go, and I know that this is probably not your speciality, but Sean says getting all these new vaccines, especially the J&J one, at whose expense? I think because I'm looking at the fact that money was spent on this one that now needs to be shelved. I think it's another consent. But yeah, I'm looking at time, and I know that we're supposed to let you go, but I was hoping we could speak more. Hopefully we'll be able to get you again, Doc. But thank you so much for speaking to us.
Real pleasure. I'm happy to come anytime. It's just quite busy at this time, but very happy to come back when needed.
Thank you so much, Doc. Have a lovely evening.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Okay, thank you. 31 minutes after 7 o'clock, I'm going to move now to our political analysts as we look at really what's happening. Tomorrow we'll be speaking to the DA, the Shadow Minister of Health, and that is a very lovely lady, that is Usiviwe. She's actually confirming with us that she'll be speaking to us tomorrow at 7 p.m. and Siviwe Gwarube. And they've released actually a statement as well. I'll be reading that shortly as I speak to Professor Berihanyan all the way from the Northwest University. Look, Sean, I agree with you. Virus mutation should have been anticipated during the procurement processes because that is the medical, the standard practice in the medical society. But yeah, man, this is where we are. And the sad thing is that we need to now, find a way to work with our people. And our people are obviously at this point in time being the ones that now need to, sort of pick up the pieces out of all this. And that is the sad part, unfortunately. But we're going to soldier on and hope that things will be better. And for now, we're going to take one song before we speak to Professor Berihanyan all the way from the Northwest University on the flip side of this.
Tshwane FM 93.6. 93.6.
Tifuna sipile mo talo, tifuna sipile mo tolo, entloni. Itinje di mokayeli nyani, obanyeli ni lamana, izabudisi nisa. Beso matala zanose, siyo yami. Sebudala sakumela. Ututalo lomna nusasemona. Lubonakala yekusweni babo. Nemimili yomuzimba wami. Lona yifuna wena wewe. Ekisala yemaneni hau. Asilube lomutano wabunayati. Ekisala yemaneni hau. Asifuselele ngenapakade. Jesus. Hakuna mnyomoto ya kusishukumisa. Hakuna kama yetifunua shukuru. Hakuna tina sababika.
Wrap your ears around Tshwane FM 93.6. Your station, your music.
What you listening to? What you listening to? What are you listening to?
Tshwane FM 93.6.
Professor par excellence. How are you? I'm well. It's a Monday. Are you ready for it?
I Sambama. Ai, Shebeleza Njalo, Ekuseni, Sambama. Ai, Kongo, Kongo, Mama. Ai, Kongo, Mama. Ai, Bati, Njalo, Ekuseni, Sambama. Ai, Shebeleza Njalo, Ekuseni, Sambama.
Shebeleza.
Hai, Bati, Shebeleza Njalo, Ekuseni, Sambama. Hai, Bati, Shebeleza Njalo, Ekuseni, Sambama. Ai, Kongo, Kongo, Mama. Ai, Kongo, Mama. Ai, Bati, Shebeleza Njalo, Ekuseni, Sambama. Ai, Shebeleza Njalo, Ekuseni, Sambama.
This man, born Joseph Dauma, fell on the 25th of June in 1942 in Limpopo, and he passed away sadly on the 18th of March 2017, and he was aged 74 years of age. And he died on the M1 North, man, in a car accident, and better known as Mr. Stumo, or as good as nice. My fellow was born in Sibasa, Transvaal, in South Africa, and brought up in Kliptown and White City, Jabavu in Soweto, that is near Johannesburg. And then his family remained until 1990 in the Shawela township that had been set aside for Venda people under apartheid. And he began acting in movies at the age of 22. He played the role of an editor in the movie Real News. He joined the South African film company, Say Films, and over the following 20 years, he worked as a producer and director as well as film actor. He also managed the multi-ethnic dance troops Mzumba, Sangoma, and the Gold Reef Dancers, which performed in feature films, theaters, and hotels, and also appeared on 4 continents. In the year 1974, Mafela co-starred in the first all-black movie made in South Africa as Peter Pleasure in Udeli, where he worked with director Peter Hunter and famed for the James Bond movie On Her Majesty's Secret Service. In the year 1976, a film shot at the Devil. With the advent of television in South Africa in 1976, Mafela worked almost continuously in that medium in the years 1986, where he was cast as the unemployed lodger Stumo in the Zulu language comedy series that made him the popular man that we love today. Good is Nice. The success of Good is Nice, which ran to 78 episodes on the SABC, led to roles in other series often produced by Mafela's own production company, Penguin Films. Yeah, what a legend. What a man, man. What a man. Lovely tune there, Ari Shebeleza Njalo. That is none other than It's good, it's nice. Yeah, man, we're speaking about the vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine. First of all, is not necessarily effective, but largely is going to expire in April. And Professor Perihanyan is here to join us to talk to us on this matter. Prof, it's coming to us all the way from the Northwest University. Professor, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you for reminding me of my childhood in Shawela, especially when we played that music by the icon himself.
What a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Mzumba influence has left an indelible mark in some of us as we witnessed the tours, we witnessed the resuscitation of community drama groups, and some of us ended up forming the Maibuye drama group, and what an inspiration, and may his legacy live on.
Indeed. 51 after 7 o'clock. I know that it's largely a short and sharp discussion, but there's so much that we need to cover. And I want to steal comments from Sean van der Merwe. Sean has been consistent in how he's been speaking to us, and I think earlier on he actually mentioned quite a number of things. And one particular question that stood out for me, and that I agree with him, he says the mutation in viruses are common, and he feels that Professor Abdul Karim and Minister Mkhize should have anticipated this. But furthermore, this is a lack of oversight, which is costing the taxpayers a lot of money, which is millions. Yeah. And earlier when I was speaking to some doctors who are saying when the test was done, it was based on the first variant. But why purchase so many doses of vaccines? One, you are not aware, because Mkhize says that they only found out about the expiry date when the vaccine is in the country. I mean, let's be honest, Prof. Even a small child, when we send them to the shops, the one fundamental thing that we always tell them to check for, in the bread specifically, it's the expiry date. When you buy milk, the one thing that you check at the shop, it's expiry date. And now, if you are to order such an expensive and important, a product, why conversations around expiry dates are not there? It feels as though that South Africa has been cheated. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way, based on what we are hearing from the ministers. If I've ordered from the Northwest a sheep, and it arrives here, and I'm thinking this is a small sheep, is still going to live, and it arrives here, I'm told that it's left with 4 weeks to live. That's cheating. It's either cheating or there's something that we're not being told. And I would assume that then the seller must refund us or must then ship it back. Yeah, take it back and give us what we've ordered. If we've ordered something that is going to not expire now, if there is an expiry date, that is perhaps going to expire in September based on our rural plan. So there's something that doesn't make sense here. I don't know if I'm the only one, but let me bring you in. What do you see in this?
You look at the bigger picture. I've said this before, I've said this in this radio station and elsewhere. We need to anticipate serious technical, mechanical, if needs be, but more so administrative, unforeseen problems. This is an uncharted territory for our administration. And it came at a time when our health system was buckling up to so many problems, lack of proper services. We're talking the immediate experience of Tembisa Hospital, yourselves there in Pretoria. Remember the old woman who was chained because she was perceived as a troublesome patient and her rights were violated. We're talking serious problems in our health system. Then came COVID, which exerted more pressure and introduced a total new terrain for health officials, health practitioners. We've never found ourselves in this situation unless if, of course, you were born in 1901 or 1900. You had to survive the Spanish flu, the peak of polio, and all other pandemics that came before this dreaded one. So the experience of handling this situation is lacking. There's no doubt about it. We are pretty much relying on what the scientists are telling us. We're relying on your generic knowledge on protocols, washing hands, sanitizing regularly, putting on the mask, social distancing, and all of that. But when it comes to the real core business of demand and supply, of ensuring that there is total infrastructure that can deal with the logistical demands of vaccine supply and distribution, this is where we'll be found wanting. And it wouldn't have come at a time when we could hardly manage the PPE repository. We're now informed that the storage in one of our mines that had about 23 million PPE equipment was banged up. Is this deliberate? We will still have to wait and see what the investigations will tell us.
Sure.
But then there's corruption around that as well. Thanks to the report issued last week by the SAU, this is running into millions of rands, and serious cases are before the NPA for consideration for litigation purposes. So this, unfortunately, will breed problems, will expose people, will expose the system itself, and I'm afraid we are likely to be found wanting.
57 after 7 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6. Professor Beri Hanyan is with us on the line, and we are discussing the vaccine and everything around it. Prof, already opposition parties are lashing out on the president and government, because if this is to happen in my house, where I've sent my son to order a sheep from you, and you are to bring what we did not order, the expectation would be, I must not be forced to seek an immediate solution within my own house, because I didn't bring this problem, and especially because I've spent money. Yeah. What a normal father would do out of anger and rage, he would be the first one to fly out of the country to say, I want my money back. I would be driving to Northwest to say, I want my money back, and take your sheep, bring back my money. If it's an issue of a mistake on your side, then you must apologize and fix matters. But if it's really the fact that you're taking me for a ride, then I must show my true colors, and I can't show that kindly. But the lack of irritation and the lack of anger from the number one citizen in the country is particularly worrying, because then it says to us, was this part of the plan? And rightfully so. Is this not some sort of corruption? What's really happening here? PPEs came in the country and they were looted. The money was looted. The vaccine is here. Millions have went out. The vaccine is not effective, and that is the bigger problem. Secondly, it's going to expire. My question was, so our science didn't anticipate that this will have variants. Why order based on the first variant if there's an anticipation that there's going to be more variants? Unless then if we don't have enough science in our country to anticipate future things, because of then we need to get scientists. We had people from Cuba here, scientists. They're the best in the business, so they couldn't tell us that do not order this one. You know, when there's a young baby coming in, those that have had babies will tell you that no, it's pointless if we are buying nappies to buy 3 weeks. Others must buy it 3 months.
Or a particular color.
Exactly.
You don't know the sex of the child.
Yeah. So they'll tell us that no. To be safe, you must do this and that. Why did we limit ourselves to the first variant? That's number one.
Yeah.
Secondly, why did we get an order that expires in April? Who's not telling the truth here? And that's where my question is.
Yeah. It boils back to your earlier questions and my responses in particular to those questions. We're entering, or we've entered already, uncharted territory. We don't have experience to deal with this issue. And we're bound to make somewhat of a mess in that particular corner in terms of handling the response to the pandemic, in terms of galvanizing resources that will be used to mitigate against the pandemic. And we've demonstrated in the PPE corruption. Now, what bothers me the most is that the inefficiencies that you've always picked up in the public service, including local government, by the way. Don't shy from the reality that if you're living in Joburg, you are likely to get a wrong bill from the city of Joburg. If you're living in Gauteng, wherever you go in some of these public hospitals, there's problems, right? In proper filing, if there is filing, in that enough medicines stocked up. Look, we've destroyed medicines in this country because they've expired. And we seem not to be able to embrace meritocracy when it matters the most. Employ people with right qualification. And maybe qualifications is a bit biased. Employ people with the right acumen, qualification, experience, attitude, and all other attributes that are associated normally with a proper public servant. And of course, put robust systems in place to ensure that the work of that particular servant gets carried out effectively and efficiently with the least uneconomical means. We haven't achieved that. Then comes COVID, a true acid test in all fronts, from management to mobilization, distribution of resources, to managing a simple education process around COVID-19. I mean, look at the barrage of misinformation that lingers in social media. Who must counter that? It's government. Do they have the capacity? It doesn't seem like. So I'm afraid we're in for a serious test here. And I'm not convinced that this administration has what it takes. And let's not forget, your first part of the question, does the president have the power to lead, in short? I'm afraid that Nazareth 2017 did not give him a talking mandate. Worst case, the very same comrades that he's supposed to work with are simply in tune to say they want to benefit, they want to make the most of their careers, less so concerned about the civic interest. And that for me is troublesome.
Interesting. 20 minutes, rather 3 minutes after the hour, 8 o'clock, and just news in as well. Condolences to the Delil family. Patricia Delil has sadly lost her husband, and that is her husband of 49 years. That is after a short illness there, and really our prayers actually with her. And as she said that it is with great sadness that she announced the passing of her husband, that is Mr. Edwin Delil, who passed away late last night after a long illness. Very sad, I must say, very, very sad. And what I like most is how condolences are coming through from politicians from all different formations, and it shows the unity of us as Africans. We can differ politically, but we must never forget our humanity.
Sense of humanity.
Exactly. We have that fundamental responsibility of interdependence towards one another. So we must love each other irrespective of different views. Yeah, but hectic stuff. And I hear Man's Not For You who says the newly procured AstraZeneca vaccine expires in April, but health authorities have applied for an extension on the date or an exchange on the stock. We are led by fools. How is it possible to extend the date of expired vaccination? And others are saying appreciation tweet for this prayer warrior. Mokweng who said that if there's any vaccine that's going to negatively affect the life of people, that vaccine must never see a light of day. And I remember one center in India actually banned when they were busy with this vaccine. Yeah, we don't know. But yeah, this is exactly where we are. Hashtag Ramaphosa must fall is trending on Twitter. Is this the big fall that might be facing him?
I don't think so. You need a bigger scandal. You need to observe a serious challenge that might put him at the crossroads, especially with his comrades. I think he still enjoys the support of your middle-class ANC supporters, and perhaps outside of the ANC as well. And I suspect the narrative that we might not necessarily have an equally strong leader within the ANC to take over the reins may very well put him at an advantage. And if, of course, that narrative holds water. So I think you need a much more complex, much more serious scandal to actually persuade him to leave office. I don't think he is very close to that position. I'm not of that opinion.
Interesting. 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. Prof, this is where we leave it due to time, but thank you so much for speaking to us.
But I thought much appreciated and a very pleasant, productive week ahead.
Indeed. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Tshwane, this is where we leave it. It's 7 minutes after 8 o'clock. It has been a pleasant evening. I'm back again tomorrow, same time, same place. Let's have a lovely discussion. Thank you so much for Sean van der Merwe joining us today, filling up, our live posts with all those comments. We appreciate your support, sir. And we hope that very soon we'll have you back with us here in studio to other come and speak with us right here in studio. Let's hear what the people on Twitter are saying there. There's one video of Mokete here. Let's see.
Actually, and I hope it does. That is my position. My prayer is meant actually, and I hope it does touch every well-meaning Christian to cry unto God and say, Lord, indeed, if there is any vaccine that would have this result, if there is any vaccine that would negatively affect the lives of people, that vaccine must never see the light of day. So people must pray against that. It's important. So I'm not going to be saying, hey, the scientists are saying this. No, I'm not a scientist. I'm a prayer warrior. And I'm encouraging prayer warriors to pray. The thing about the vaccine, I'm not asserting it as a fact. I know that there is a lot of corruption in the world. In South Africa, in Africa, and elsewhere in the world. Look at what allegedly happened to the money that was allocated for the protection of people in this era. What happened? I tell you, if I had prayed openly before allegations of corruption in relation to that matter surfaced, if I had said, Lord, anybody who's going to be involved in corruption in relation to this money, deal with that person. You know what the response was going to be? The same question you are asking. Where did you get the information from that there is corruption in relation to the funding for COVID-19 related matters? So I'm crying unto God. Whether you call it politics or not, it's neither here nor there for me. And I won't stop doing it. I'm crying unto God. If there is any vaccine, I don't want it. I'm crying unto God for, this is at the end time according to we Christians. So if there is any vaccine with 666, I want God to destroy it. If there is any vaccine meant to corrupt the DNA of people, I'm asking God to interrupt with it. Any clean vaccine, they must produce it quickly. People need that for their own health. So if anybody's going, don't pray against 666. Don't pray against Satan. Don't pray against corruption of the DNA. They can criticize until. I'm not worried about that.
Grab your ears around 93.6.
We've not elected ideas. Comrade President, Stellenbosch is a big problem. We know your proximity to Stellenbosch. We know your proximity to Oppenheimers. We have not elected Oppenheimers. We have not elected Stellenbosch yet. I told your predecessor in 2011 that we have not elected the Guptas. We elected him. And he must lead us. He refused to listen to that. We're warning you, President. We have not elected the Ruperts here. We have not elected the Oppenheimers. Listen to the collective wisdom of people you are elected with, not white monopoly capital. It will not be here to defend you. Once you listen to white monopoly capital, you must know that you are likely not to finish your term. All the best, President. We are here. We are watching you, and will continue to engage you openly, not in secret. Thank you.
This is where we live. It is 11 after 8 o'clock. I'm back in tomorrow, same time, same place. The nighttime team is coming through. Have a lovely evening.